Hello and welcome. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Speed News, where we unpack the biggest stories that are making the headlines right now. US President Donald Trump expressed optimism about reaching a trade deal with China, describing last week's conversation with Chinese President Xi Jinping as friendly. In an interview, Trump stated that he could make a deal with China over fair trade practices. US and China have been embroiled in trade disputes and diplomatic tensions, but Trump's remarks suggest a willingness to cooperate and find mutual beneficial solutions. The president also emphasized his preference for not using tariffs against China, calling them a tremendous powerhouse that he would have rather not have to utilize. Up next, a federal judge has temporarily blocked US President Donald Trump's executive order restricting birthright citizenship and has imposed a 14-day stay on its enforcement. The judge called the order blatantly unconstitutional and expressed difficulty understanding how it could be deemed constitutional. The ruling is a setback for Trump's administration, which has argued that the order is necessary to address immigration issues. It has announced plans to appeal the ruling. US President Donald Trump has said that he hopes to avoid military strikes on Iran's nuclear program. Speaking to the media, he said that it would be really nice if it could be worked out without having to go that further step. Trump added that he will speak to very high-level people about the issue, but did not specify who they would be. Trump's statement is being viewed as his new administration's resolve to address Tehran's nuclear program diplomatically rather than militarily. US Vice President J.D. Vance has sworn in John Ratcliffe as the new Central Intelligence Agency Director. The Senate confirmed Ratcliffe with a 74-25 vote, making him the second member of President Trump's new cabinet. Now, Ratcliffe previously served as Director of National Intelligence during Trump's first term. He is a former federal prosecutor and congressman who emerged as a strong Trump defender during his first impeachment. As CIA Director, Ratcliffe has pledged to enhance the agency's use of technology, including artificial intelligence, to counter adversaries like Russia and China. He has also emphasized the need to improve US intelligence capabilities while protecting American civil rights. Ratcliffe is the first person to hold both the Director of National Intelligence and CIA Director positions. A drone attack hit Russia's Ryazan region, southeast of Moscow, on early Friday morning, targeting the main town of Ryazan. Governor Pavel Malkov reported that air defense units successfully intercepted and destroyed the drones, but the extent of the damage was unclear. Social media footage released on Friday showed large flames and plumes of smoke rising from the oil refinery after the reported air attack. Emergency crews are currently responding to the situation, and local authorities are working to assess and contain the aftermath of the attack. A statue of British explorer James Cook in Sydney has been vandalised with red paint and damaged just 2 days before Australia's National Day. This is the second incident of vandalism within the last year. Police said that they have begun an investigation and that several items had been found near the statue. Indigenous Australians make up about 4% of the country's population of 27 million. For them, Australia Day is known as Invasion Day, symbolizing the destruction of their culture by European settlers. Many indigenous groups want Australia to drop celebrations or move the date, which marks the anniversary of the arrival of the British First Fleet in 1788. Hamas is set to release the names of 4 Israeli hostages to mediators, according to Palestinian newspaper Al-Quds. The hostages are part of the second batch to be released under the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement. The agreement, which went into effect on Sunday, includes a second phase of negotiations between Israel and Hamas, set to begin on the 16th day of the ceasefire. An Israeli security delegation has arrived in Cairo to discuss the implementation of the second phase, including further hostage releases and the reopening of the Rafah border crossing. The Israel Defense Forces reported taking actions in accordance with the ceasefire agreement to combat threats in the Gaza Strip and urged Gaza residents to comply with military orders.
Maxim Helki.
Thousands of protesters took to the streets in Mexico's northwestern state of Sinaloa to protest against the killing of 2 children in an attempted case of carjacking. They demanded an end to the rampant cartel violence in Sinaloa. A group of protesters also stormed Sinaloa Governor Rocha's office, vandalizing the property and calling for his resignation. They claimed the governor struggled to contain the violence despite the presence of troops. Hundreds of supporters of the ruling government in Venezuela took to the streets of Caracas to commemorate the 67th anniversary of the end of Marcos Pérez Jiménez's dictatorship. The rally demonstrated backing for Maduro's government, which has faced opposition and controversy, particularly surrounding his recent inauguration for a third term. Supporters marched from the west of the capital to the Miraflores Palace, waving Venezuelan flags and holding banners. In his speech, Maduro assured the crowd that Venezuela had earned respect globally and declared times of peace for the country. The march coincided with military exercises conducted by the National Bolivarian Armed Forces. On January 23rd, Venezuelans commemorate the 1958 coup that toppled Pérez Jiménez's authoritarian regime. UK police have welcomed the sentencing of a British teenager convicted in Southport killing case, calling it cowardly and terrifying attack. The accused Axel Rudakubana has been sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of 3 young girls in a stabbing spree at a Taylor Swift-themed dance event last year. The judge has ordered him to serve a minimum of 52 years. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has arrived in India, marking his first state visit to the country. He will be attending India's 76th Republic Day celebration as chief guest. He is the 4th Indonesian president to receive this honor. Today, he will be meeting India's External Affairs Minister, and tomorrow he will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi to review bilateral ties and discuss regional issues. On Sunday, Subianto will witness Indonesian contingent's participation at India's Republic Day Parade. The parade will feature a 352-member marching and band contingent from Indonesia. Air pollution in Bangkok has reached alarming levels, forcing the closure of over 350 schools and across 31 districts due to poor air quality. This marks a significant increase from the previous day when over 240 schools were shut. Bangkok's air quality has been ranked as the 7th most polluted in the world among major cities by IQ Air. Sensitive groups such as children and people with respiratory issues are likely to experience health effects. Meta's paid ad-free subscription service for Facebook and Instagram continues to face scrutiny in Europe. Despite revisions made in 2023 to comply with EU laws, the European Consumer Organization, or BEUC, claims the changes are superficial. BEUC alleges users are being misled into consenting to data collection and push towards Meta's behavioral ad system. Meta disagrees, asserting its policies exceed EU requirements. Not just that, India's tribunal temporarily suspended a data sharing ban between WhatsApp and Meta, giving relief to the tech giant in its largest market of 500 million WhatsApp users. Now, critics argue that Meta prioritizes profit over consumer privacy globally. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, launched an investigation into Apple and Google's control over smartphone operating systems, app stores and browsers. The CMA aims to determine whether their dominance stifles innovation or forces developers into unfair agreements. Nearly all UK smartphone users either Apple's iOS or Google's Android. Apple defends its ecosystem, claiming it supports jobs and innovation, while Google highlights Android's openness as beneficial. The investigation seeks to ensure fair competition and boost opportunities for developers and users alike in the mobile ecosystem. Nigerians are facing yet another blow to their wallets as the government approved a 50% increase in mobile phone tariffs. This comes amidst a severe cost of living crisis, with inflation soaring to a near 30-year high. The hike, while aimed at improving service quality, has sparked outrage among citizens already struggling to make ends meet. Traders expressed concerns, stating that the increase would further burden their already strained finances. However, telecommunicators argue the hike is necessary for the sector's survival and to maintain service quality. The Bank of Japan raised interest rates to their highest since the 2008 global financial crisis, underscoring its confidence that rising wages will keep inflation stable around its 2% target. The decision marks its first rate hike since July last year and comes days after the inauguration of US President Donald Trump, who is likely to keep global policymakers vigilant ahead of potential repercussions from threatened higher tariffs. The widely expected move underscores the central bank's resolve to steadily push up interest rates to around 1%, a level analysts see as neither cooling nor overheating Japan's economy. The yen rose against the US dollar after the Bank of Japan hiked rates and revised its inflation forecast, while the Australian and New Zealand dollars surged on US President Donald Trump's comments, suggesting a softer stance on tariffs against China. The yen swung between losses and gains in choppy trade shortly after the Bank of Japan's decision. In the wider market, the dollar fell broadly following Trump's latest comments on China's tariffs and was headed for its worst weekly fall in 2 months. Gold prices soared to near 3-month high on Friday and were on track for a 4th straight weekly gain as uncertainty about US President Donald Trump's trade plan took the winds out of the dollar's sail, boosting demand for the safe haven bullion. Spot gold jumped $2,774 per ounce and has gained more than 2% so far this week. Oil markets sank a day after US President Donald Trump pressured OPEC and its de facto leader, Saudi Arabia, to lower prices in a broad push to drive up crude production. Brent crude futures trade around $78 a barrel, while US oil trades around $75. Trump, during his speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, said he would demand the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries bring down the cost of crude barrels.